Less than 6 minutes, he fired 139 shots across 3 floors in incredibly bloody 2018 Valentine's Day school shooting, the Parkland High School shooting. On the 14th of February 2018, 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz was picked up by an Uber at 2:06. And Nicholas Cruz was carrying a rifle case and a backpack, and he had concealed an AR-15 style semi-automatic and multiple magazines. At 2:19, 20 minutes before school dismissal, Cruz was dropped off at Major A. Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, an affluent suburb about 30 miles northwest of Fort Lauderdale. He was actually spotted by campus monitor, who radioed a colleague and told him that he was walking with purpose towards building 12, a 3-story building block structure containing around 30 classrooms, containing approximately 900 students and 30 teachers. Because no gun had been seen, no alarms were raised, because what had been stated to raise a code red, you have to either see a gun or hear shots being fired. So somebody walking purposely towards a classroom, classroom buildings, was not enough to raise an alarm. At 2:21, Cruz entered the building. As he was putting on his vest and filling it with multiple magazines and picking up his rifle, he bumped into a fellow student who he told to run as something bad was going to happen. As he left the stairwell and entered the first floor, he pulled out his gun to open fire, but his gun jammed. Cruz checked his rifle, pulled it up again, and started shooting, hitting students that were in the hallway. Students ran into classrooms and they attempted to lock the door. A locked door would not prevent the gunfire coming through the door windows of the classroom. Cruz, not content to just shoot through classroom windows once, he would go back, ensuring that he could hit as many people as possible. He actually shot at and injured a faculty member, again another campus monitor, who had attempted to run at Cruz to prevent the carnage. And this was while the fire alarm was sounding, as dust was falling through roof tiles, purely because of the amount of gunfire that was happening. Injured wasn't enough for Cruz. As he passed him, he shot and killed the campus monitor. When he saw another campus monitor in the stairwell, when he was rising up to the second floor, he shot and killed them as well. Now, the second floor had been locked down for a school shooting, so classrooms were locked, students were hiding. Cruz still stalked the corridor looking for somebody to shoot, and even including still shooting in through the windows of the door of the classrooms. Nobody hit, nobody injured until he got up to the third floor. Students were in the corridors. They had evacuated their classrooms because of the fire alarm, and the fire alarm had stopped sounding by this point. Nicholas opened fire, injuring as many as he could. Teachers and students ran to classrooms, to close classrooms. They were locked behind them. One teacher I had even checked adjacent classrooms to see if doors were locked, and they were. So he managed to usher 10 out into the stairwell. But running wasn't fast enough as Nicholas opened fire, shooting at students and killing them as they tried to help evacuating students. One student who was gravely injured had actually attempted to shield her friend with her own body, but as Nicholas went past them, he shot them both, killing them instantly. The teacher who had managed to usher 10 out into the stairwell had managed to block Nicholas Cruz's exit to allow evacuating students to run. So he went into the teacher's lounge, where he could overlook the campus, and he wanted to create more carnage because he could see evacuating students. He shot through the windows, but thankfully they were stormproof, so the amount of damage that he made wasn't significant at all, and he didn't do very much damage, much to his probably jargon. Nicholas then managed to escape. He left his vest, ammunition, and his rifle on the top of the stairwell of floor three, and ran out the door. He merged and camouflaged himself into evacuating students. Nicholas went on to have a Subway and a McDonald's and was later arrested about an hour and 40 minutes later. Now, Nicholas Cruz did plead guilty to this, but his defence argued that he had mental health problems. Even though he had planned this in advance, he had made videos that he was going to do it. He wanted to be known and seen as a school shooter. He wanted the fame. Then they said that it was his autism, and he had no control, and he had lost a certain amount of control. A jury was conflicted on whether or not that he should get a death penalty. And eventually it was decided that he would not receive a death penalty and instead spend the rest of his life behind bars. This created absolute outrage with the surviving victims as well as the victims' families. Nicholas Cruz had managed to kill 17 people and injured 17 more. So much of this case annoys me. All he wanted to do was go out in a round of fire. I do think that maybe if the police had went in sooner, perhaps, that it would have been death by police. However, the way the building structure had been, initially the students thought it was fireworks, and then thought the shooting was over by the football grounds. It was difficult for anybody to really determine what was going on, and the radios between the SRO and the police were actually delayed as well. So when police were there as well as the SRO, and they were trying to get into the building to see if there was an active shooter, still Nicholas was already gone. Nicholas had managed to flee. It wasn't the SRO, Scott Peterson's, fault, and he was found not guilty of neglect of his duty, although I do believe I should never have gone to trial. The fault wasn't with him. The fault lies with Nicholas Cruz, and he will never, ever see the light of day again. Rest in peace, and my condolences to all 17 that lost their lives. And I hope that all the survivors are getting the help that they most definitely need. I will see you all in the next video.